Next, we are joined by Rob Sennitt, Managing Director of Alicanto Minerals with the ASX ticker code AQI. To tell us more about their base metals exploration project in Sweden, I will hand you over to Rob. Good afternoon, Rob.
Hi, Jane. Thanks very much for that, and thanks for the intro, and thanks for putting on the conference. It's greatly appreciated. Yeah, high level, Alicanto has got highly prospective copper, gold, and zinc silver projects based over in Sweden. I joined the company just a month ago, and I've got to say life has been pretty hectic to date. I'm just back from a trip to Sweden where I got a chance to see our operations, and also a chance to meet with our team over there, our high quality team, and also to meet with some of the local stakeholders. And in particular, pretty pleased to hear how supportive they are of our initiatives in their municipality. But on page 3, looking to sort of summarise the opportunity there as succinctly as I can. With respect to Sweden, it's a great place for us to have our operation. It's got a very rich mining culture. It's one of the bigger mining economies in the EU, and very interestingly, it's really slipped under the radar of many of the bigger resources companies around the world. You know, interestingly, in terms of the Fraser Institute, which rates jurisdictions, it rates in the top 20. So it's it's a great place for us to be on the ground doing business. Our two mines I should say our two projects at Sala and Falun are only a couple of hours drive to the west of Stockholm, in what's known as the Bergslagen region, which is a very mining active area. It's got a couple of world-class mines there in Garpenberg, which is owned by Boliden, which is Sweden's largest mining company, as well as a mine called Zinkgruvan, which is owned by Lundin out of the US. So it's a very mining centric area, and as I say, pretty close to the main areas of Sweden, with lots of good infrastructure around. The other comment I'd also make about Sweden is, the one thing that I came away with is how pragmatic the community and really governments there seem to be. You know, there's obviously a big focus on the green transition, but there's also a very strong desire for self-sufficiency. With the war going on there between Russia and the Ukraine, these guys are not a long way from the front lines there, and again, as I say, very focused on being self-sufficient in important things like critical minerals, and ultimately the products that Alicanto are going to provide. I'll speak about the team in a little bit, but the focus of the team to this point in time is to find operations that have or mines that have previously operated, and to acquire exploration around those mines as the basis on which to build new operations, and certainly Alicanto is a good example of that. The team's now acquired some pretty significant acreage around the two historic mines in Sala and Falun. And when you look at similar mines in the region, as I mentioned, Garpenberg and Zinkgruvan, these areas have very similar geology, and from all of the work that we've done to date, there is no doubt that we see mineralisation along strike and along depth from these mines, and we're really positive in terms of where that will hopefully deliver us in the not too distant future. We've only really owned these areas for a short time, and really only had the ability to do a limited drill program to date. But really, in that time, we've achieved a lot. We've redefined the geology and identified mineralisation pretty much in every hole that we put down to date. Even at Sala, we're probably seeing better grades than those at Garpenberg, which again holds us in great store for where we can potentially go with that particular prospect. And again, pulling together a maiden resource in under 12 months, which has got over 300,000 tonnes of zinc and over 15 million ounces of silver in only 12 months is really a testament to the team and the great effort that they've managed to put in to date. And as I mentioned, it's really a great platform for us moving forward. In terms of that maiden resource, I mentioned there the high-grade core at 6% zinc equivalent. That really, in terms of some of the recent intercepts that we put out, really gives us a lot of excitement in terms of what this resource might ultimately look like. What we've been able to do in 12 months and what we're hoping to do over the next 24 months is pretty exciting. And that high grade core is hopefully a key part of all of that in terms of where the ultimate grades could be. Now, ultimately, that sort of grade will be the difference between a good mine and a great mine. As I say, there's been very little work done on these prospects in the last since the mines were closed. It really creates a huge opportunity for us in terms of using modern techniques on a systematic basis. We've identified numerous targets at both Sala and Felon, and it's now just a question of getting that work done and turning that knowledge into resource. The green economy, I mean, that gets mentioned, time and time again, but it is absolutely critical. And Sweden, from the time I spent there, very, very focused on this green transition. And really the critical metals such as zinc and copper and also silver for that matter are going to play key roles with respect to how that green transition and to new forms of energy are going to take place, and that recognition is not lost on the government in terms of how we can play a role with respect to all of that. And certainly in those discussions, lots of questions in terms of how they can help us in terms of getting up and running. I did mention the team, and both the team at the corporate level at Alicanto, which I've known for a long time, and it gives me great pleasure to join and work with. But Ray Shorrock's there, who's chairman of Alicanto, is a past chairman of Bellevue Gold, and obviously that's a great example of taking what was an unloved deposit and turning it into one of the darlings of the gold sector here in Australia. And also Steve Parsons, a consultant to the company, currently the current MD of Bellevue Gold. These are great guys to have around that have done all this before and have a great track record in terms of creating value from exactly what we have here at Alicanto. And I should add to that the in-team country, Eric Lundström, who is our chief geologist and who's driving all of our programs in Sweden, is actually the ex-chief geo of Boliden, and who is responsible for what Garpenberg is today, and is recognised as one of the best underground polymetallic mines in the world. And he's very, very confident that what we have at Alicanto is as good as what he started with when he was looking for Garpenberg. So look, it's in summary, it's a fantastic opportunity. It's a great opportunity for me, sort of having joined the company and really now looking to sort of turn what we have there into something that's very meaningful and hopefully create a lot of value for our shareholders along the way. There's a quick corporate summary of us. Current market cap is just under $20 million. But what I would say is that we have a very strong and loyal shareholder base. We've just raised $3 million, which is a reflection of that. In raising that money in a pretty tough market was a great effort. And what that has done is set us up for our programs coming up over the next 6 to 12 months. And there's the team, which I've already touched on as well. As I said, Sweden, long mining history. It's interesting as regulations have started to free up. You've really started to see the eyes of the world sort of turn to Sweden. And at Alicanto, we've really got we've got a head start on what's happening there, and have actually put our foots on some pretty interesting ground. Really, that's come about from Eric, our geologist, and also Peter George, our executive director up there in Sweden. Both of those guys worked for Boliden for a long time, knew the ground very well, and have pegged that ground, and as I say, have provided a fantastic opportunity for Alicanto to sort of come in at the right time and pull all of that together. The other thing I'd sort of note, as you can see on that map, we're not a long way from Stockholm. Which means that the infrastructure in the area in terms of rails, roads, ports, airports is all fantastic. Plenty of water, an educated workforce from which we can draw from. it's if you're going to do business anywhere in the world, Sweden is a great place to start. I mentioned I won't spend much time on this green transition, but as I did mention before, this push for self-sufficiency going on in Sweden at the moment is very, very real. And again, the attention that we're getting in terms of bringing these projects on, bringing them on forward is great. I mean, we're really there at the perfect time. Looking to develop underground mines in a sustainable way is got very welcome ears over there in Sweden. And as I say, the questions are really, what can they do to help more so than anything else. So as I mentioned, we've got two key projects over in Sweden. Sala, as a earlier mine, it produced over 200 million ounces of silver at grades as high as 7,000 grams a tonne, which is pretty extraordinary. And Falun, which produced 28 million tonnes, which included copper at 4% and gold at 4 grams a tonne. But those in today's terms are fantastic, and great places for us to sort of start exploring to build new mines in that area. Sala has probably been at the forefront of our attention, and that's where we've delivered that resource in less than 12 months. And as I say, we've got that resource with over 300,000 tonnes of zinc and 15 million grams of silver is an interesting place to be. Again, based on what we're seeing in this Bergslagen region, the deposits are sort of open at depth and along strike. Sala to date has only been drilled down to sort of 290 meters and Falun to 500 meters. So, when you look at what's going on in those regions, it's significantly deeper than that today. So, as we start to apply, more modern exploration techniques, we're pretty excited in terms of what we might find. And as I mentioned, Eric, the ex-Boliden geologist, is pretty comfortable that what he's seeing there is as good, if not better, than what he saw when Garpenberg sort of came into play. Look, I apologise a little bit for this slide. It's a little bit crude, but what it is meant to demonstrate there is what we've got as it sits next to Garpenberg. So Garpenberg currently has over 73 million tonnes in resource, and you can see those the various ore bodies there in that Garpenberg deposit. We've only touched the surface at Sala. It's the same geology. It's a large limestone reef with the upper lead silver strata and a lower zinc strata. Garpenberg's been operating for hundreds of years. It's now operating down to a depth of 1.4 kilometres. Really, as I say, I think we've only just touched the surface when it comes to the work that we're currently doing at Sala. As I say, open at depth, open along strike. The fact that most of the reef is currently doesn't even have a drill hole in it, provides great excitement for us. So what are we doing there at Sala at the moment? What we've got on this slide here, you can see in the centre of the slide in the grey there, the old Sala workings, and to either side of that, we've got the extensions to Sala to the north, and what we call the Prince Lode to the south, where the current resource is stored. We've in the areas marked 5 to the north there and 2 to the south of the Prince Lode. That's where we're drilling, or we will drill this year as we look to extend that resource. And those other areas are more conceptual drill targets that we have, where we're going to be looking for repeats of that Sala mineralisation. This slide just shows you what that high-grade core looks like. There's been some really interesting drill holes that have gone into that part of the deposit, and I particularly draw your attention to that first drill hole at 4.7 meters at 24% zinc and 875 grams per tonne silver. Strikes like that are extraordinary, and there's no reason to believe that we won't be getting more of those as we continue on. our plan is to be back drilling these holes when our drilling approvals come through, which are expected in the next month. On this slide, it's a top level view of that slide I just showed. Those shallow holes to the west of the old Sala mine there, and to the south of the Prince lode is where we're looking to expand the resource, and then looking for the Sala repeats to the west. I mean, if we hadn't found the resource where it currently is, those holes that we're looking to drill to the west are probably where we would have started the drilling at Sala in those untested areas there. Those inclines and declines that we're sort of looking at over there are where we would expect to find some pretty interesting material. Probably the higher grade silver will be in that area compared to the higher grade zinc, which where we're drilling in the south and the west of the current Sala deposit. And as with respect to Sala back there, again, Sala is where the company sort of started its journey in Sweden. It's in terms of the copper gold side of things, it's pretty exciting what we have there. Sala probably remains the key focus in terms of how much we've been able to do, and in a very short space of time, and what we can achieve in the next sort of 12 to 24 months. But Falun remains a real focus for the company. A copper gold project with those sort of grades is certainly something that you can't ignore. And while we're waiting for those approvals for the drilling permits to come through at Sala, we're back drilling at Falun now. And looking forward to some interesting results coming out of that drilling in coming months. Thanks, Jane. So look, maybe a quick summary, and I do appreciate I've run over time a little bit here, but look, in terms of where we sit at Alicanto and why we're so excited about where we are, Sweden is a fantastic place to be. It's the home of some of world-class polymetallic deposits. And the geology that we have at our deposits are as good as we see at those major mines. And again, the support we're getting at this particular time in terms of the green transition, our ability to provide critical metals at a time where Sweden is very focused on some pretty tough targets in terms of becoming, removing its focus on fossil fuels, etc. So we can play a real role in terms of where that economy is growing. We've got great brownfield projects, that we're drilling in the headframe of some of what have been very substantial mines in the past. All the drill holes that we've put down to date have discovered mineralization. It's now just a question of time and money as we move forward with our exploration programs. As I say, the opportunity, from that we have in terms of applying new techniques as part of that program, again, is very exciting. And look, we've got the right team to do it. The guys in country have done this before. They've been successful in terms of discovery, and we're working within the same types of ore bodies that they've worked in the past. So again, high hopes in terms of that for the success of these exploration programs that we've got in place. And then the Alicanto corporate team, these are guys that have got a proven track record, that have done it all before, and hopefully we will do it again here at Alicanto. Thanks, Jane. That brings it to the end, and happy to take some questions.
Rob, that was a great presentation. We've had a lot come through, so let me jump into them. So you've identified numerous high priority drill targets across both of the brownfields projects, and you did mention that the approvals are imminent. So what size kind of drill program should we expect you to kick off with?
Yeah, so we've just raised $3 million, and you'd expect most of that, or in fact, the vast majority of that will go into the ground. So we've got a drill program planned out over the next 6 months. And given it's quite early, it's not while we have a pretty good idea about where we'd like to put those holes, you have to remain relatively fleet of foot as well. Depending upon what results we get from that drill program means that we're always going to be thinking about what the next best step would be in terms of creating value for shareholders.
Wonderful. And just now to the Greater Falun Copper Gold Project. So there's walk-up drill targets and you are drilling at the moment. So when can shareholders look forward to those assays coming through?
Yeah, look, as I say, we're in the middle of that program at the moment, and we will, as that program, comes through, in the next month or so, hope we will be in a position to update the market.
Wonderful. I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked everybody on the program today, but what are you most excited about and what can shareholders look forward to sort of over the coming 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, as I think, hopefully, as I sort of mentioned in that presentation, I mean, to start with what we have in Sweden is fantastic. Sweden is a great place to be, a place that's very focused on pushing forward with its, developing its mineral endowment. We're in the best part of Sweden where there's lots of infrastructure. As I say, all of the work that we've done to date has been highly successful in terms of what we found at the bottom of the drill rig. So, I would hope over the next sort of 12 months or so, we've expanded the resource. We've identified, more mineralisation from some of those conceptual targets we've got. Yeah, and as I say, over the next 12, 24 months, really start to define what a mine is going to look like in that part of Sweden, and hopefully the next base metals mine in Sweden.
Well, Rob, with these modern exploration techniques that you're implementing, and I'm actually a shareholder myself, I'm very much looking forward to the future of AQI. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.